I thought we did some good things in the game as far as running the football. That was kind of our emphasis. Try to run the ball a little bit more and make some first downs, because when you play Stanford, they're a very methodical football team. They take a lot of time off the clock. They possess the ball for long periods of time. Their defense generally doesn't give up a lot of big plays in the passing game. So going into this, we didn't want to turn the ball over. We didn't want to get into foul trouble, and it showed up at the end. But for the most part, I thought we played a pretty good football game in the sense that we got on the board, and then they got on the board, and then from there, I thought the second half was telling. Our defense only allowed 3 points, and so when you can do that, your chances of winning go way up. We scored. I thought there was a couple things we got to clean up, but I'll get that straight. I promise you that. But it was a good win for us.
Coach, you've talked a little bit about how trick plays on offense kind of get your attention, but trick plays on defense when Jack Jones is pitching the ball. What are you thinking in that moment?
That's just instinctive. When a guy is able to, first of all, intercept the ball the way he did with his hands, and before he goes down, and Pierce, runs by and he sees it, and Jack flips it to him. It's just, that's kind of stuff you just do on instinct. And I'm glad it worked, because if we would have fumbled it, you'd have seen a mad head coach, right? And it's all pretty when it happens and it works. And it's just football. Guys are having fun, and it was a great play. It really was a great play on both of them's part.
And Coach, how big was it? And you've talked about obviously finishing games and limiting penalties, but knowing what happened with them against Oregon last week, was that kind of reminded them that at halftime and to keep the pedal down in the second half?
Well, almost showed up in the fourth quarter, right? We got 2 personals. All of a sudden, we were doing good with fouls. All of a sudden, we get some personal fouls. And then and it's like stopping the clock, and I'm going, here we go, right? Now the score was a little bit different, but here again, you can't get into games like that and give people 30 yards on penalties. That's not smart. So you got to clean that up.
Coach, how would you evaluate the overall performance of the secondary in this one?
I thought they played pretty well, to be quite honest. We gave up the 1 touchdown pass on a fade. We missed time to jump. These are some big receivers, and we knew it going in. They're scary, and they're gifted players. They can catch the ball, a lot of jump balls. You see it every week, and for the most part, we did a pretty good job of really not allowing that to happen. They're going to hit some, you know it. I thought our ability to play man-to-man coverage helped us. We started out in the first half playing a little bit more zone, and then in the second half, we went to cat coverage. Just cover your cat. Let's go rush the quarterback and see what happens.
Coach, you guys scored first 3 possessions, 3 touchdowns. Then the offense didn't score again. Is it a little frustrating to leave points on the table there?
It really is, and we had some opportunities, and we just didn't take advantage of it. And that's the hard part, because you feel like you're rolling a little bit, like you mentioned. 3 scores, and then all of a sudden, nothing, right? And we've got to clean that up. But for the most part, you look at the offense, it ran the ball for over 200 yards, and generally when we're 200 plus, we won a lot of games around here. Our record's pretty good, so it was fun to watch all the runners run. We turned the ball over, but we took it away 3 times. So that's the kind of football you want to play. You want to take it away. You don't want to turn it over. And the defense went out there and stopped them. So you got to give credit to the defense.
Herm, you're 6 games in now. Just where do you think you guys are as a program at the midpoint?
Why do we always ask about it as a program? It's you guys talk about that. I don't know where we're at as a program. We're 5-1. We got a lot of football left. And every time you play a Pac-12 team, it's hard. It's just hard. It's hard football. Hard to win a game in the Pac-12. It just is. It doesn't matter what side you're on, the south or the north. They're just competitive football. We're a 5-1 football team. You guys can decide what we are if you want. I'm not trying to decide that. That's just a football coach. We're just trying to win another game. Next week we have another game we have to try to win. And if we win that one, Hopefully you guys will ask me the question again, and I'll give you the same answer. You guys can decide that. That's not my decision. I don't do stuff like that. Get yourself in a bad way when you start saying that my program's this. Hey, it's not winning games. Just, if you win, everybody's happy. When you don't win, then you got other things to deal with.
Coach, Jack was great in coverage tonight, especially on those fade routes, matching up the Stanford big wide receivers against him. And you were a DB in your playing career. How do you effectively guard that route?
Well, the way he did it, and we practiced on it all week. You got to put face mask to face mask, because in the era of today's football, the back shoulder fade comes into play, and if you turn the opposite away from the receiver, you can't get back to the ball. And so you have to have enough ability to turn your head to the receiver and also play the ball. And we worked on that all week. I mean, that was, I put my coaching hat on, actually. And we worked. I took the corners and said, this is what we're doing this week. We're going to do this, and this is how we're going to do it. And they listened, and it was funny because Merton Hanks was at the game. And Merton complimented how good the defensive backs played. I got to ask Lynch, because he was in the box with his wife, our godchild Leah. Lynch's son plays for Stanford, and they were at the game. So I got to ask John, when I get out of here, how did they play? How did the secondary? And he'll give me hopefully thumbs up.
Coach, Jaden had another really good game. No turnovers once again. How would you just evaluate his overall performance today?
He's starting to get comfortable with the receivers, and you got to give the receivers a lot of credit. They're starting to find their way. We're missing still. Johnny is out still, and he'll come back eventually. But I thought for the most part, receivers have done a nice job. Ricky was a little bit mad at the one he kind of let get away over there. But I think every week you're starting to see him with some explosive plays. Badger, all of a sudden, I don't know what to say. He looked at me and I said, I know, go tell him. Gave you the ball twice, you scored 2 touchdowns. What else? But he hadn't caught a pass for a touchdown. He'd been all runs, right? So I tell him, you're a runner, not a passer.
Coach, how do you feel like you guys performed in the battle at the line of scrimmage, both offensively and defensively?
They're a two-gap defense. They do a nice job up front of really holding their gaps and shedding off blocks. So it took a little bit to figure that out, But I thought we ran the ball well. I thought our defensive line. When you hold people to, under 30 yards rushing, now they didn't try to rush a lot. They were going to throw it, but that's a good sign. And we got to the quarterback, and we hit him, and we harassed him, and we took the ball away. Going into this game, this quarterback had no interception. So I thought we did a pretty good job on some tips. We got our hands into some alleys with the ball. They throw a lot of their balls inside the numbers, and we got our hands up, and we were able to hit some balls and got some interceptions.
Can you update us on Chase Lucas and DJ Davidson, what their situations were?
DJ came back in the game. Chase is a little sore. I'll probably know more about that tomorrow. Hopefully all of them. But DJ actually came back.
And then, Coach, to piggyback on the receivers, I know kind of been asking you like the number one, and I know Ricky's kind of stepped up, but do you feel that almost in an offensive game plan, it's an advantage to have multiple options and maybe not have that number one?
Yeah, I think when the restaurants where there's not one special item, those are the ones I like going to. Everything's good, right? Everything's good. It's not just one thing. So that's what you hope with the receivers. And I think they don't get enough credit for this. They are good blockers. Those receivers block their tails off now. I mean, there's a reason that this running game shows up. It's the offensive line first, I get it, and Case Hatch, and the tight ends. But don't lose sight of the wide receivers. They do a lot of things down the field blocking, and that helps you too. Unselfish guys.